Hello and welcome everyone on today's webinar that is presented by Newired. My name is Jiří Valek. I'm a VP of Product Management at Newired. We speak today about onboarding, about guidance, and especially how we can help to automate the Polarion onboarding with the in-app guidance. Why are you here today? You are here today very likely because you have successfully deployed Polarion ALM product, or you are considering to deploy Polarion ALM. And I expect that your processes are likely custom, so you have deployed your own workflows, your own standard operating procedures, and maybe your end users struggle to follow them, or you have let's say a concern that, let's say, the users do not really, let's say, feel comfortable with your standard operating procedures, or you are in the situation that if your users do not use Polarion properly, there might be a business impact. Maybe you need to be ASPICE compliant, and the fact that the people will get lost or are not efficient may actually mean that, let's say, you do not pass the ASPICE validation. So that's where we expect you to be today, and we believe that from our perspective, we are here today because we have a solution called Newired that is targeting such a situations. We partner with Nextity that is helping us to deploy Newired for some of the Polarion customers. And the Newired as a product has the mission to actually really close, or at least reduce, the distance between technology, between complex technology like Polarion, actually between the digital world and users, all of us who use the digital tools, digital software, etc. And in reality, we see what you may experience quite often, that the digital rollouts are complex. It's actually confirmed even by Gartner that most of the so-called digital transformations fail, which means that the expected return of investment into complex systems, ALM, PLM, but also ERP, CRMs, are not often fully achieved, let's see, the expected ROI. And if you ask actually yourself, what does it really usually mean for Polarion business, for Polarion customers, it's often connected with a so-called learning curve. That whenever you need to deploy, or roll out Polarion for your users, or deploy a new workflow, set up a new standard operating procedure, you really need to train the people on it. And the people, or not the people, we all forget. So we need to be retrained after some period of time. And then there is a change in the process. Then comes frustration because what was working yesterday is not working anymore. And then you need to retrain the people again. And that's exactly what we have experienced, because let's say the Newired was founded by ex Polarion shareholders. We are very familiar with this type of the learning curve, and we set up a solution that we believe is really covering these typical enterprise needs. And before, let's say, or I don't want to stay in the slides forever during today's webinar, so I really want to show it live. The concept that we bring, how do we innovate the traditional training systems? How do we innovate the process of training people, onboarding people, etc., by something what we call interactive step-by-step guidance that introduce the concept of learn by doing directly in your Polarion application, not miles away, not by reading the manuals, watching the videos, but how we can really establish, let's say, a modern way of training people on a given procedures. So I want to show it live to you. So I go to first to the official Polarion demo server. So we are here on almdemo.polarion.com. And if you log into the screen that you probably do not see on your own Polarion implementation, it's called Welcome to Polarion. So under this screen, you see the traditional Polarion ALM platform. And here we have something which we called a guidance layer. You see, I'm really in the Chrome browser. If you would have an account on ALM demo server, you would see really the same view that I see. So it runs on top of the real Polarion version, and I can start running this kind of the embedded assistant, or let's say someone that helps me to understand how the Polarion works. So actually it drives me on top of the real Polarion version. So you see, it explains me that this is a Polarion project and what a project is, that I should click here in the project navigator on the requirements to learn a little bit more about the requirements topic, that this is the way how I open the requirement specification. So you see that this system is actually giving me the initial onboarding through a Polarion system. Of course, let's say every Polarion is different. So let's say I can jump into a different Polarion version here, and I can run here a so-called playbook or playlist called Work Items Basics, which really helps me with basic tasks or how to select the project. So it just guides me through the really simple procedures. It explains me what is the project, what is the project group, and I can continue with my onboarding, how to search for work items. So it tells me that I should click on work items, that I click here on the plus symbol, that I should select, let's say, some specific query. Now, I mean, it will ask me that this is my list of results, that I can select a particular item. Here is the actual work item just down below, and that's it. So far we have seen that this additional layer can help me to understand how or what is this new product about. But for sometimes you don't want just to explain something, but you really want to guide people to perform a particular use case, a procedure. So let's start with something simple, how to create a new work item. We are speaking really about work item basics. So again, it starts with the welcome screen, and it tells me again basic instructions that I can click here on the plus button. This is my list. I can select the task. It tells me that I should really, that this is the work item form, that I should first fill in the title. Now I can fill in some additional fields, so I can do it. I can provide a description, some other fields. I can just skip it, and at the end I can save it. So this is what we call learn by doing. We are running it on top of the existing Polarion infrastructure, and people can receive the assistance anytime they need with whatever procedure that is covered by this step-by-step guides. So what we have seen so far is how or what our solution look like from the end user perspective. But if we come back to this chart that shows the common training curve, we can speak a bit about this change management here. So when I was showing you all these guides, they were running on the ALM demo server with the content that is generic, that applies to each and every Polarion customer, how to open a project, how to create a work item, how to search work items. But I'm sure that you have your own processes, and you want to guide people over your processes, and these processes may change. So how can you actually ensure that the people will be guided on top of your ASPICE variant, on top of your FMEA process? You can do it because we are not a vendor that provides a guidance for Polarion. We provide our customers a solution that they can build such a step-by-step guides by themselves. And I want to show you now how easy it is to create such a step-by-step procedures without any coding skills, and enrich the Polarion solution with those learnings and onboarding procedures. So now I'm no longer in my browser, so I'm no longer in the Chrome. I'll switch to the solution, which is called a Newired editor. The Newired editor is a desktop application. We have the variant for Mac and for Windows. it actually contains the browser. So by the way, you can see that first it's supported because it's based on Google Chrome. And actually I can connect, log in into Polarion and run really the Polarion inside of our Newired editor, because our Newired editor is de facto a browser. And I told you that I want to show you how easy it is to create a process, how easy it is to set up this step-by-step guide. So let me just do something together. So let me just refresh the screen. It's not a, yeah, okay, now. So we start with the what we call the journey. So the step-by-step guide in Newired terminology, it's called a new journey. So create a new user story. So we want to start and develop a guide how to create a new user story. The first step could be just an introduction. So welcome. In this guide, you will learn how to create a user story. Of course, you can actually attach additional pictures, videos, do whatever you really like, and to make the content more engaging and interacting. We have even here a little, let's see, library of assets, so I can just plug in it here. I will make this really large. So we have our first step, okay, that just helps people to understand what they will learn. That's not really a big deal, right? But the first step should be that they should click here on the work item. So the first step, again, add new step, and I select a call out, which now helps me to select anything on the screen. So I can actually select here the work items menu on the left. We want people to do what? We want people to click on this button, and maybe we want to have it here on the right side. So that's the first step. We want people to click on work items. What's the next step? The next step should be, they should click here on the user story icon. So click on user story icon. And again, we need to tell the system that we want the user to click on it, okay? That's the second step. The third step probably would be that we want a client to fill in the story title. Okay, so again, you probably already know how to do it. I select this element here, type story title, and here, honestly, we should do a little bit more. We should explain, let's say, a bit of the process specifics. So the story title shall be formulated as I, as a user role, want to achieve this value because of such goal. So you see, I'm not just telling people what to do, but we can actually, let's say, make sure that we provide a little bit extra context for people to succeed with the objective. Of course, I mean, if I like, I can really make this bold, so it will help really people to understand that we should concentrate on the role and goals and values like it is proper in the agile process. And the last but not least, the step should be, I should click here on the create button. Again, just add a step, select the create button, save it here. And we want a user to click on it. So it took us probably 1 or 2 minutes, and we set up our first guide. I can try it here, so I can run it. You see that is my welcome screen. Click next. I should click work items. I should click on user story. I should type in the title, and I should save it. So that's our solution that enables all our clients to define the step-by-step guides and tutorials to the processes you have deployed for Polarion, and attach these tutorials and guides on top of your Polarion version so key people can find it anytime they need any help. You can do it without any coding. It's all interactive. What you see is what you get type of the editor. So that's the Newired Studio. So you remember, it runs in the browser from the end user perspective, but then we have a solution that helps you to actually create such a guides and tutorials. Now, what value does it provide? So what have we measured within, let's say, studying the results of our customers? First, of course, there are some operational benefits. The people were reporting the cut of the training costs because the people do not need to be retrained physically. Maybe some of our customers, they still perform a traditional initial training where they introduce the tool, but then a lot of these trainings are actually, and onboardings are automated. Definitely what we have measured is the reduced internal support interactions. There are always these tool masters who know that the product better than the others, and they are often distracted by people asking questions, and you lose time and effort and effectivity on that. And of course, it's about also employee productivity. If you need to really process a lot of requirements, approve a lot of specifications, you should do it fast. And this is especially useful for some of the operations that you don't perform daily. So some people believe that our tool is only for beginners, for newbies, but what we have really measured is that this also applies for more advanced users, because there are always use cases and procedures that you don't perform every day. You just perform once per quarter, once per year, a specific planning, a sign-off, approval of a given plan, etc. But in reality, the value of Newired is not related only to the operational benefits and how do we reduce the training cost. In reality, it really connects with what we have said at the beginning, that the goal is to make sure that you squeeze the most out of your Polarion investment. So you have invested probably a pretty big amount of money into rolling out Polarion, or you are planning it, and you need to make sure that the users are really using it to the full potential. And what we have just measured, that within the 6 months, and this was the team that was using Polarion already for 3 years, they use it by 20% more because of these guides and tutorials they deployed over Newired. So this means that you can really benefit by more than 20% from the target platform, from all the traceability values, from the fact that everything is versioned, just because the people feel comfortable to use it. And last but not least, it's not just really about money, where you save it from really the perspective of reduced cost on training and maybe being sure that the people are using it more often. It's also about the process and the data quality. Because you remember the journey that I built about the story. I was not just explaining where to click, but I also explained what data to put in. So these guides and tutorials can really, let's say, be used to help people to understand how to fill in a better data into the system. By the way, I speak today about Polarion, but the reality is that everything what I've presented today is not related to Polarion only. We can run the very same guidance on top of any web-based platform. So here we are in the CRM system, and I can see the same guides and tutorials that will help me to create an account in the CRM system, in the same visual overlay that helps me to really go step by step. And as I go through the application, it really follows me. If I fill in the data and I save it, you see that it really helps with the data quality, because it tells me that there is something that I should fill in. I should fill in the name of the opportunity or an account. So what is great about our platform is that the studio and the runtime really works for any solution, For example, including Siemens Active Workspace, or including your Viva CRM system for medical CRM applications. And if you ask yourself, what are some of the key capabilities to make this product fit for the enterprise environment? Let me just go through some of these, let's say, key capabilities and values. First, simple to use and robust. I think what we need to keep in mind when we deploy Newired for any system is that this target application may evolve. You have a new Polarion version every 6 months. But in the SaaS world, I mean, the applications may be updated every month. And what you want to make sure is that the guides that you create today will still work tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, and maybe in 6 months or a year. And we do it with extremely robust algorithms that make sure that these guides and tutorials are really easy to maintain. So if there is a new menu entry in some drop-down list, if there is a change in your template that you have modified the left side navigator to contain something else, the guides and tutorials still work, so we do not depend on the particular position on the screen and things like that. So it's easy to use but robust. It's also built from the core around security and privacy standards. So we know that your Polarion is very likely installed on your premises. All what you have seen today can also run and be installed fully on your premises, or we provide the dedicated cloud environment, a single tenant, specific for you only, as we understand that the way how you develop your products might be considered as a IP protected asset. From the GDPR perspective, you can deploy Newired so it doesn't contain any data, not just personal data. I'm saying that it may collect no data at all. If you like the personal or the analytics module, yes, we can provide you with some analytics, but these analytics can be strictly non-personal. Just how many people are you trained? Do they fail somewhere? Or we can also have a personal analytics that really explain who was trained on what. Content publishing workflows. We have some of the customers from the Polarion environment that are, let's see, regulated by different standards, such as FDA for medical device development. And what we have learned over time, we see that if the people are misled by these guides and tutorials, this can also have a functional safety impact. So this means that every step-by-step guide you deploy over Polarion should also go through the review, through testing, through electronic signatures. And for that, we provide a robust but simple publishing workflows. Let me just show you that very quickly, what I mean by these publishing workflows. I go to our demo server called Newired.com. I will search for the project that we have been working on today. And you see that there is one change pending. Actually, it's an old change, because if you go to the Newired editor, I can say, okay, let me delete some of the previous content that we had in the past. And I want to publish the journey that we worked on together a couple of minutes ago, how to create a new user store. So now if I go here to the management interface, so that's the server side of the Newired, I can see that there is a version control management system. So every release of your content is versioned. You can roll back to previous version. You can test any version. You can actually download any version as a Microsoft Office Word document, electronically sign it as a PDF and attach into your document management system. And of course, I mean, you can just submit the new version. You see that the create user story has been added and test journey was removed. I can submit it for review. I go through the review process. I can just preview it on a specific computer. And once this is being saved and electronically signed, I can publish it as live. And from the moment that I publish it live, it can be visible to the actual end users. So what I'm saying is that we have seen 3 different components today. We have seen how it looks from the end user perspective in my Chrome browser. I've shown you that it's very easy to create these guides and tutorials using our Newired editor. But anything I do here, it's not instantly visible to the end users because the process needs to be managed. You go through the publishing process that is being managed by the so-called Newired portal, a management interface over Newired data, version control, workflows, etc. Multi-application support. You know, in today's environment, and Siemens is very much pushing this story through the market, it's not just about isolated tools. For many of your deployments to go through a specific standard operating procedure, you need to work with a tool chain. It could be team-centered in Polarion, but it can also be a Polarion and a document management system that you have a specification, you export it to PDF, and this PDF needs to be stored in Documentum. And what you need your people to be trained on is not on the actual guides to on individual tools, but on the process that is running across multiple tools. So you can start with a change request in Teamcenter, then you go to Polarion to create a software change request, and then you go back to Teamcenter to update some specific dashboard. So everything what you have seen today, I told you that can run on any web-based application, but not just solely on isolated apps. It can also run across a tool chain. Multi-language support. So we know that your Polarion is running in a single language only because it's so much, let's say, configuration based, and configuration is single language only. We understand that your terminology is probably based on the English language and everyone sees the same front end. But don't you want your colleagues be trained in their mother tongue, within their really comfortable language variant? Or maybe you have some other tools that are already translated and you really need to create guides and tutorials that connect to, let's say, applications that are already translated. We do it in a very, let's say, simple way. Instead of creating isolated copies, instead of, let's say, using Newired to translate the content into English and Japanese and Spanish, we use the industry standard tools to perform the translation. What does it really mean? I want to show it also live because I think it's really simple. So let's imagine that I want the guide that we have just published being translated into the Spanish language. Okay, so we also want to speak Spanish. What does it mean from the end user perspective? If you go here to the CRM system where we have some, let's say, translation setup, I can actually select the language to anything that is being supported. And when I run it, it actually, you see that it will have the step-by-step guide translated to multiple languages. So how can I set up such a translation? I set up my Spanish localization. I download the package. This is the translation package that is being defined in the industry standard format called XLIF. I open or I send this package to any translation agency or translation department, or just to some individual like me who just downloaded a tool for XLIF translation. I open it, I just, let's say, translate some of the text, maybe even using the AI-based translation engine. So I translate it into Spanish. A translator sends these files back to you, to the manager of these guides and tutorials. You upload the translation back. So I just select my translation files. I select here my journey. I mark it as active. And of course, I need to publish because it's a change. And that's it. From now on, the guides and tutorials will be translated into Spanish, and all all the instructions will now be available in a different language. I think this is gorgeous because this means that translation process is completely separated from the process of creating the journeys, through the process of really setting up the right guide flow. Last but not least, let's speak about the business side of our solution. First, let's say we don't charge for the editor, for the studio to create the content. Actually, you can even try it today and download the free editor. Or whenever you buy a license of Newired, you can have as many people creating the content. So we charge per use of the guides and tutorials. So the more users needs to be trained, the more you pay. The pricing is available on the website. But we also have something special for you. We have a so-called ALM accelerator package deployed on the Siemens Polarion extensions portal. So I'm not speaking about the guides and tutorials that are running on the ALM demo server. I'm speaking about the Polarion extension side. So I will search for Polarion extensions, and I search for Newired. You see ALM accelerator package. There's a product page available on our website. And there is a big button here, get the extension. Okay, I mean, I need to provide my name. We would like to assist you with the evaluation and with the rollout questions, etc. And now I get to a specific page called Install and Configure Newired Extension. I already have my extension being installed, but if I would actually remove it and I restart it, if I really remove it, so remove from Chrome, remove. Now I hope it's removed. Okay, so now you will see that it will tell me install extension. I install browser extension, add to Chrome. We have the same process for Microsoft Edge, by the way. The Newired extension is configured and ready to use. Now, if you go to any Polarion version, so if you would follow this in an hour on your computer, you just go to the Polarion extension site, you search for Newired, you go through this little process. You will see the same guides and tutorials as I see now on top of our or partner Polarion version that would really see these work item basics or how to handle live docs, create a new live doc. So I should click on documents and pages, click here on the plus symbol, etc. So you will be able to evaluate the Newired from the end user perspective on top of your Polarion version in just a few minutes. And actually, we have even more for you today. We have a quick journey to journeys promotion. So we can provide you a free assistance for the Polarion Accelerator package. And we can run together with our partner Nextedy a 2-hour workshop to create one customized journey on one use case at your choice. What we are saying is that out of the box, if you connect this Polarion Accelerator package, you see the predefined journeys, but you may wish to see something specific to your standard operating procedures. And for that, you call us, we set up an online session, and we build a guide for your process on top of your Polarion version, and we will make this journey available to your Polarion users for evaluation, or we just record a video that you can share with your peers if you don't want your users to install this browser extension. So to recap, we have a solution called Newired Journeys, a user guidance and onboarding that just works. Simple to use, security and privacy built in the core. We are aware that your processes are very often regulated, so you need to have a strong workflows to go through the content publishing. It's not just about Polarion, it can guide your users across any tools and actually also across integrated tools, so across the tool chain. If you have a global team, you can set up guides and tutorials that speak different languages. And everything of that you can start and try today with the pricing models that is very flexible and can adjust to your needs. Thank you for your time. That's what we have prepared for you today. And I will be open to ask or to answer any question. Again, there is a Q&A panel. Please feel comfortable to ask any questions and I will answer them right away. How do you integrate Newired and Polarion? Is it a plugin? No, it's not a plugin because actually, as I said, we work across any web-based system. So if you ask, how do we integrate? We don't really integrate. I mean, from one point of view, what we do is that we have the content editor where you build the guides and tutorials. Because the content editor is a browser, we can open any application in our browser. I can open the Amazon application, I can open Google, I can open whatever you like. It's a browser. And then the question is, how do we make sure that the guides and tutorials appear on the end user screen? And for that, you probably have already seen one option. One option is that the guides and tutorials are, let's say, enabled through a browser extension. The browser extension is specific to your content. So as we install it on premises, I mean, you don't share the data with anyone else. It's your content only running inside possibly your network. The other option, and the browser extension is really an easy way to evaluate it for initial rollouts, etc. But then you can also install a little snippet into the Polarion portal, into Polarion itself. So for example, that's why if you go to almdemo.polarion.com, you don't need to install any browser extension. The guide is deployed by a small JavaScript put into the Polarion configuration files. So it's not a binary plugin. It's nothing that we need to install on your server from a data point of view. It's really just a small JavaScript that connects pieces together. Go to next question. Oops. Does your solution work with SAP? SAP is, of course, let's say a large set of products and solutions. So we definitely have customers who use SAP, especially as an ERP system. And we have, and it's also a web-based tool, so we can deploy Newired for SAP ERP. But just one note with SAP, of course, you also have some of the desktop tools. And in the current moment, we don't focus on the desktop tools. So we focus mostly on the web-based platforms. Does it work with Firefox? Yes. If you would open the ALM demo server, almdemo.polarion.com with your Firefox browser or with Safari, or actually with any modern browser, you will see the same guides and tutorials on top of your screen. So we are compatible with all the, let's say, different browsers. Is it compatible with the older Polarion versions? Yes, because our solution connect to any web-based system. You can use Newired on top of Polarion 18.2 or 22R1. We don't care. But what is really important, maybe your question is, if you create a guide for version 18, will it work on version 21? And here, this is really a tricky question because you may know that Polarion UI is very dynamic. Actually, they use the auto-generated code with auto-generated HTML IDs, with auto-generated class names, and we can handle all of that within our solution. So what you can do, you configure Newired specifically for the target application. So for example, in case of Polarion, if there is a work item, or not a work item, if there is a document element that has some specific format, for example, it starts with DOM, or it has just, let's say, a couple of the big letters and numbers as a combination, you tell the system to not trust these IDs, because actually these IDs are changing from one Polarion version to the other. So with this setting, with those additional, let's say, configurations applied to your Newired installation, you can fine-tune the setting in a way that when you build then a guide for version 18, it will continue working also on the version 21, supposing that we don't speak really about a major change, that something, for example, is completely removed from Polarion. You said active workspace. Do you have customers using Newired for Teams Interactive Workspace? Yes. Fortunately, I cannot name them, but we have around 5 different customers using Newired specifically for active workspace. So not for Polarion, but for active workspace. And a couple of them have it actually installed over the integrated environment. Time for the last question. See, this is more internal. How much time does it take to build the content for Newired? I understand why you ask this question, but I think that I can answer it with another question. How much time does it take to build the slides? I can build some slides in a 2 minutes. I may need a graphical designer to polish it. I may need to think about the correct wording. I may need to think about the story. So now instead of 2 minutes, I can work on the slides for 1 week. So of course, we have seen that we were capable of creating a quick guide in 2 minutes. But in reality, you may have a little bit extra, let's say, you may cover more complex procedures. Like, for example, what if I don't follow the guide properly? So if I'm asked, let's go back to select the project. So I click here, click project group, and now I should select the project. But what if I don't select the project? It tells me not a project. Do it again. I click here, open project group, and again I select the project group. You see, not a project. You have not selected the project by the project group. Please do it again. Okay, so I do it again. Now I select the project, and this is done. So what you see, of course, your guides and tutorials can be more complex. They can be also, let's say, there can be branches. You may ask people to do A, but they do B. So you need to react not only for the positive flows, but what if there is a problem? What if people do not follow it exactly as you tell them? You can also force people to do something, but sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you really need to, let's say, make some assessment. So what I'm saying actually, that you can also build some dynamics into the journeys, because we have what we call the visibility rules. The visibility rules can be based on the content, on the type of the user, etc. So this is the if statement. If something, then skip it. And then you have actions. The actions include the go-to statement. So go to a specific step. And those of you who are a little bit technical, those probably understand that if you have the if statement and if you have a go-to statement, you have actually the basis for the programming, let's say, language. So you can really build a bit more complex and advanced journey. So to answer your question, how much time it takes, we have customers who just, let's say, invested a couple of weeks to build the solid guides. Then we have someone who invested a little bit extra time. It's like with your Polarion configuration, how much time it takes to roll out Polarion. It could take a couple of weeks, or we have customers who, let's say, who work on the configurations constantly across multiple years. So it's not really, we cannot answer this question easily. I hope you understand our message, our goal, and our value. Thank you for your time. As I said, there is a special promotion, quick journey to journeys. Contact us at info@newired.com, and we will assist you with your evaluation or with your with the free workshop to help you build some of the custom journeys for your Polarion version. Thank you for your time again, and have a great afternoon.